Hi everyone, my name is Trinity Nguyen. I am the CMO at UserGems, and today's session I will share with you our own internal playbooks and how we generated 25% of sales qualified pipeline and 37% of close won revenue with signal-based programs. So let's get straight to it. All right, so I guess kind of like just a little bit of background and kind of some fun facts. We talk about like how buyers' attention has become so small these days, right? It started out in like 20 years ago. It was 2.5 minutes, and then as every decade went by, our attention span got a lot smaller and smaller. We become so distracted. And what does that mean in the B2B world? So Insight Partners released this stat a few months ago, and I think it's still one of the scariest stats I've seen in our B2B world. So it takes 4 times more activities to book an outbound meeting. So how do we address this? Everyone's attention span right now is so short. I think for cold emails, you have 3 seconds to make an impression. Ads, we constantly scrolling. So how do we stop you from scrolling? So for us internally at UserGems, our approach is we like to boil everything down to the fundamentals. So the right people, the right time, the right message. Sounds like no-brainer, but as we get through the slides, you'll see that it can get a little bit more complex, but start out simple is better, and then we go from there. So let's start with the most fundamental. You can't do anything, you can't do any automation, you can't scale if you get the wrong people in place, just wasting a lot of resources. So the right people, what does it mean? Go to the boring stuff. I always want to start with like the very basic stuff, the ICP account. Do you know who are your good fit accounts? Some basic stuff like employees, revenue, industry, geography, tech stack, et cetera, et cetera. So look at your best customers and find out what are the criteria, what are the common threads among them. Then you go into the target persona, function seniority, keyword inclusions, exclusion, etc. You'll be surprised, even though this looks so basic, when you talk to other to any companies, maybe you're experiencing this yourself. Majority of companies don't even agree on one ICP definition, and they don't agree on like who the target persona. If you're working at a company right now where everyone said we serve everybody, you're probably experiencing this right now. Narrow it down to who is your top 3, ideally 1 target persona, 1 type of ICP, and focus all the resources behind the right people. So at UserGem, we have a benefit of kind of like helping companies identify the ICP and persona as part of the implementation. And the crazy stat that we've seen is that most companies only get around 20 to 30% of their buying group. They give us the ICP criteria and persona, and then we kind of analyze that against their close won opportunities. And we just, like a lot of companies just miss a lot of the right people in the buying groups. So for us, we've been doing this for years. We monitor our ICP and persona mix across the entire sales funnel, different stages, and we do it monthly. So these are the screenshots from our Salesforce dashboards where we monitor the ICP mix. Is it ICP criteria? Is it not? Kind of like see if our market changes over time. Then we also monitor the persona mix. So we have a formula in our Salesforce to kind of map the persona, like marketing director plus or marketing manager, et cetera, and kind of monitor that over time to see if the mix changes. And that's how that becomes kind of like the fundamentals for us to do all of our automation that you see in a little bit. So assuming that you get the right people and get everyone in your organization to agree on the right people, then the next piece is timing is everything. So it's kind of like a dating analogy. You could meet the best person, your soulmate, but if the time isn't right, then you've seen all the story. So timing is everything. So how do we get people at the right time? And for us, signals is how we get to the right time. So for us, signals means relevant moments of interest. And when I emphasize the word relevant, because every company will have different relevant moments of interest or relevant signals. Like for some companies, the most interesting signal could be funding. For other companies, it might be like intent, or it could be like past champions, right? So understand, go back to your own data and analyze what what was the trigger moment that got someone interested in buying your product? Is there a common theme there? At UserGems, for the past few years, for us, people signals naturally because that's what like, our product does. But in the category we in, etc., people signals, so past champions, new highs, etc., were more interesting for us, and so that was where we started. And why it's interesting for us is because we monitor, like you saw how like nerdy we are. We monitor everything and we calculate everything, right? So we know that when we have a past champions in an opportunities, we see 2 times higher win rate. It makes sense because they already purchased us in the past, easily do it again in the next company. We also see 54% larger deal size. Also makes sense because they already trust the product, they understand the entire platform. So when they buy us again, it's not a crawl, walk, run. They want to buy an entire solution to accelerate the adoption and shorter sales cycle. So now we're getting to the execution. So what do we do with this? How do we build these signal-based programs? So for the past champions, we tracking 2 buckets, past customers and past prospects. So past customers, we start out with tracking the close won contacts. These were the people that bought UserGems. And then as we build out playbooks, which I'll share in a little bit, then we went to admins and power users. So they might not have been involved in a the buying group, but they're the one that really know our products. These are actually the strongest advocates we've seen because they experience our product. And then the third tier is the casual users. So that's past customers bucket for us. And then the second bucket, which a lot of people don't think about, is past prospects. Just because they did not buy you in the past or they have not bought you yet and they changed to a new company, this doesn't mean that they won't be open to evaluating you again. So we're tracking open opportunity contacts, and then we also track closed lost contacts. Fun fact, this year in 2024, the closed lost prospects contributed the biggest in terms of like all the past champion plays that we ran this year. So again, just because it didn't work out in the past doesn't mean that it won't work out at the next company. So keep that in mind. So at a very high level, the playbooks that we're running for this one signal alone. So we use it to generate new pipeline. So when any of those past champions I just covered join a target account, like an ICP account, then it's part of the pipeline generation activity for the BDR team to prioritize our ABM accounts. If they join and open up, then it's a deal acceleration. For this conversation, we won't cover much in the churn prevention or expansion, but we're also using that signal the same way, same logic to trigger CSM playbooks to prevent churn and drive some more expansion. So that's all theory, right? What does it look like in a playbook and how do we get reps to action? I think this part is the part where whenever we buy new products or we buy into like a new exciting thing, like an intent, for example, people don't think about it all like step by step all the way through to reps. So I want to share with you here like how we do it. So for example, on the left-hand side, when a past champion joins an ICP account, so no open up, then we build a playbook, a workflow to create a new contact in the CRM, so sync to CRM. Then we find the owner. We're using our existing round robin logic with lean data to assign the owner. And then based on these criteria up here, past champions, with the right persona matching titles at ICP accounts, then it goes into the right outreach sequence automatically. You can set the first step to be a manual task in outreach or sales loft so that the BDR can review all the information before it hits send. Over time, if you know what works best, you can automate some of this as well. But we like, especially for high touch, more executive past champions that we want the BDR to personalize in step 1. And then like all of this is refreshed monthly. So you can imagine kind of like the workflow here is an always on program for pipeline generation. So on the right-hand side, for deal acceleration. So for this one, it's kind of like similar logic. So past champions, but they join out an account with an open op at the moment. So in this scenario, we build out these the workflow. Same thing, kind of create a contact, just like on the left-hand side, assign owner. In this case, because it's an open up, the owner now of this past champion signal or lead is an AE. And we know that our AEs don't spend a lot of time in outreach. So we notify them in Slack and email and refresh monthly. And that's kind of like how we scale playbook after playbook after playbook. So past champion could be like a past close one opportunity contact, or past admin power user, et cetera, et cetera. And we kind of scale it out. So right now for the past champion signal, we're having about 6 playbooks running at all time, taking care of all the manual tasks here, and our BDRs and AEs only need to worry about it when the task pops up in their favorite tools. On the ad side, we also do some evergreen ads just to kind of like provide air cover, but also kind of like, be omni-channel, be present where our contacts are. So we would be running like these. We've been running this one, I would say, like probably 2 years. Just like very subtle ads in the background, like congrats on the new role. We miss you. You generated a lot of hype with UserGems in the previous growth, et cetera, et cetera. The goal for these ads is not so much to optimize for click. It's more like impression. We want people to see it because we know that the emails and the calls from the BDRs already hitting them up in other channels. I'll share a bunch of plays and then we'll summarize in the impact. I'll show you the results in a little bit. But so we talked about the signal, the past champion signal. The second signal, after we built all those 6 playbooks, then we went on to the second signal, which is the new hires. So why we cared is we analyzed 60,000 contacts of different seniority. And so for director and above, what we saw across all industries is that if you reach out to a new hire in the first year, you can see actually in the first 6 months, you can see the steep drop. You'll get 2.5 times higher conversion rate to up. So it makes sense if you put yourself in the shoes of the buyer or the new executive, right? You got hired, and usually it's because you're hired to deliver some lofty goal. You have the budget to spend, and you're expected to deliver the result, at least some early sign-up result in the first 90 days. So this is a window of like purchase or window of selling, right? Like this is where you want to get in and kind of like be top of mind to these buyers. So similar to the past champion signal, we also built out playbooks for pipe generation, deal acceleration. And I'll show that in a little bit, and churn prevention too. Actually, I want to highlight this piece here, even though I know we're talking, like this session is about pipeline generation. New hires is actually one of the top churn risk signal. When kind of like the same thing if you apply on the pre-sale to post-sale, the new executives joining in, they probably want to bring in new tools, new services. So it's actually a big churn risk alert for our team. So it's something to flag if you're talking to your CSM counterpart. So how to get reps to action? Same thing. It's really simple. So the rule is like, this is the signal is a new hire. So for example, a VP of sales joining an ICP account. Then same logic like I showed you earlier. But in this case, because of the inputs here, it goes like the contact goes into a different outreach sequence. In this case, it's going to be new hire VP plus ICP account. And the messaging in those sequences is going to be different than the past champions. Same thing for open opportunities as well. So at UserGems, we're very big on multi-thread, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. We know that it gives us a high win rate. But at the same time, like new executives joining in during an open opportunity could delay deal as well. So in a way, we want to alert the AEs, not just to multi-thread, but also like proactively de-risking the deal. So we use these 2 signals to prioritize ABX account. ABX is one of the biggest programs at UserGems for our pipeline generation. The way we use it, so we have all these reports in Salesforce. We know of our ICP accounts, and we kind of stack rank them based on which accounts have the most previous champions. and which accounts have the most new executive hires. For us, those two signals are big indicators, and we kind of prioritize accounts that way. And our team is trained to know that when we go after these accounts, look for previous champions, looking for new executives, new promotion, etc., and go down from there when they do prospecting. Okay, so that's the signal number 2. Now we're going to the signal number 3, multi-thread. As I mentioned earlier, and if you follow UserGems content for a while, you know that we're really big in multi-thread. We strongly believe that no one makes a buying decision alone anymore. If anything, the buying group's getting bigger and bigger over the last 12, 18 months. So because we monitor, if you remember, go all the way back to the beginning of the presentation, we monitor the persona mix. So we know that we always have these 3 musketeers: sales, marketing, and rev ops. And then we've also been monitoring our opportunities over the years. Whenever it's multi-threaded, we have a 5 times higher win rate compared to single thread alone. Like just going after, if the whole opportunity just have one person in there, that's a huge alert, like risk alert for us. So we always ask our team to constantly thinking about how to multi-thread from the beginning all the way to the end of the sales process. So from the pipeline generation side, we're very prescriptive of our buying group and the departments and the seniority. Almost like, look at this matrix here. So like, for example, this is a little bit arbitrary, but we would specify with our BDR team that our buying group side is 10 people, and here are the persona and seniority. And based on this, our BDRs, whenever we go after ABX accounts, they always know to look for these folks to make sure that we cover the entire buying group. When a sales opportunity is created on the AE side, we do the same kind of like exercise on the left, but on the digital ads to help the AE nurturing and multi-threading to the rest of the buying groups if they're not already involved in our sales conversation. So if you pull it all together, all the right people, the right time, now you gotta put that into a compelling message. So a couple of things we do here that I want to share. So the first one is we do a lot of market surveys and messaging testing. We use Winter. Love that solution. But you can like just constantly like being top of mind, like how do you test for your website messaging, your ads? Do you still resonate with your ICP markets? So do a lot of like messaging testing here. We do quality win-loss churn interviews just to make sure that we still speak the same language to address the same pain points that our ICP market cares about. And then on our BDR side, we lean into AI to help reps synthesize all the signals and context. That's a lot of information. So you can use like any tools really, but like I would say like right now, we're in a really interesting time. Lean onto AI tools to figure out how to synthesize all this in a very easily digestible format, like email message, and then use that to help elevate the outbound messaging that your reps are doing today, because there's no way reps can digest all of these signals, what's going on at the company, what the company does, etc., manually. You won't be able to do that at scale, especially now headcount is really scarce to come by. So as promised, I know we are running out of time, so just some quick results. So in terms of very tactical side, these signal plays result in crazy response rate. We've been running this for years, and the response rate has always been around like 15 to 28%. Before, like a year ago, I think we've even seen sequences in the 30 and 40% response rate. Our open rate always in the lowest is probably 75% to all the way up to 90-something%. And in terms of like true results, cash in the bank, these plays result in around like 25% of qualified pipeline consistently, and contribute to 37% of our close won revenue. It doesn't matter if the market condition goes up or down. So summary, these are all the signal plays we're running at UserGems. It's a lot, but as I mentioned, they can start out with one, focus on one team, one signal, and then scale up from there. And what's next for us is now we are moving on to the stacking signals for even more fun. So basically just adding more and more signals and combining them. So that's it. But thank you.